The Daily Scrum is the only event in the Scrum framework that happens more than once per sprint. It is a 15-minute time-boxed event held daily at the same time and place to reduce complexity for the developers on a Scrum team to inspect progress towards the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as needed. The reason the Daily Scrum happens every day is to provide a frequent cadence for the developers to exercise empiricism. Notice I said that the event is for the developers. The product owner and the Scrum Master can attend the Daily Scrum. However, they will only participate if they are also actively working on product backlog items contained within the sprint backlog. If that's the case, the product owner and the Scrum Master are fulfilling the accountability of a developer, and therefore they can contribute towards the Daily Scrum. The reason why this Daily Scrum is for the developers and not the other accountabilities is to improve transparency around the plan to turn product backlog items into a usable increment. Nobody, apart from the developers themselves, decides how to turn product backlog items into an increment. And frankly, nobody needs an annoying project manager turning up and asking technical questions that derails the conversations. That's just annoying. One of the problems that occurs when other accountabilities attend the Daily Scrum is that it becomes a status meeting, where developers are reporting progress to the product owner rather than collaborating with each other. They need to focus in the Daily Scrum on inspecting the progress to the sprint goal over the past 24 hours and adapting the sprint backlog, if needed. As the developers own the sprint backlog, only they can adapt it. As a quick check, listen to your next Daily Scrum. If you weren't told, could you guess what their sprint goal was? If not, perhaps there is room for improvement. The developers can choose whatever technique or structure to run their Daily Scrum. They may choose to use some complementary practices, such as answering the 3 questions. What did I do yesterday? What will I do today? And do I have any impediments? It's important to note at this point that those 3 questions are not part of the Scrum framework. They are considered by some to be a complementary practice. The reason why the developers have the flexibility to choose any technique is because every team is different. They are trying to create an event that promotes quick decision making and helps to identify any impediments towards their achievement of the sprint goal. Having this regular, daily event minimizes the need for other ad hoc meetings. Now, I've mentioned that the Daily Scrum is the opportunity where the sprint backlog is inspected and adapted. But this isn't the only opportunity the developers have to do this. They can adapt their sprint backlog as necessary and whenever they need to. This ability to inspect and adapt as needed is vital to the support and culture of a self-managing team. It is a common mistake for people to think that the daily scrums must occur during the morning. This is not the case. I want to reiterate again that the Daily Scrum is an event by the developers and for the developers, and they alone decide when and where it occurs. From the perspective of the Scrum Master accountability, he or she does not need to be there. They only need to ensure that it happens. The Scrum Master may offer tips for techniques to improve the Daily Scrum event though. Something you may see with newer Scrum teams is the request to only have a Daily Scrum every few days. Consider the problems that this may cause. There will likely be a decrease in transparency over progress being made towards the sprint goal, less opportunities to inspect and adapt to any undesired variances that occur, and fundamentally make it less likely that the sprint goal will be met. Delaying or cancelling a Daily Scrum is not a positive practice within the Scrum framework. To wrap up this video, there is a single takeaway. The Daily Scrum is an opportunity for the developers on a Scrum team to inspect the progress made in the previous 24 hours and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary to make it more likely that the sprint goal will be met. Imagine like a huddle for a sports team. They sync on the goal, then break to do their respective parts. That's the Daily Scrum in a nutshell.